to make it fun, to make it engaging, to make it interesting for kids to learn about environmental education. Now, this afternoon, I'm going to start off with a little bit about myself. Who am I? I'm then going to be talking about the 7 steps, the Eco Committee, also about a program I've written that embeds STEM into the program, and we'll wrap up with a Q&A if anybody is interested to sort of ask some questions. All right, I would like to say thank you very, very much to Hayley. And hi, Deb, how are you? Did we win? Oh, you can't say. All right, maybe later I'll talk to you. All right, so first of all, who am I? Now, I look back and there was indeed a blast from the past with Cam Mackenzie. And I ran into Cam in 2005, and those were indeed the glory days for environmental education when I was at Dorrigo High School. And we went down to the Aussie, which was the Australian Sustainable Schools Conference. Now, there I am. That's another character. That's actually Captain Viridis. And I'm working out at Beltrees at the moment, which is a delightful school. Bit of a plug for them. They've just been named the New South Wales Sustainable School of the Year. They came runner-up in the Banksia Awards, and in about a week's time, we're going to be getting our green flag. So woo, 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 go Beltrees. All right, so as I said, who am I? My background is in agricultural science, and it's interesting because I started teaching in 1988, and ever since then, I've always tried to embed environmental education within the schools. I started out western suburbs of Sydney, moved up north as a head teacher. I had a brilliant stint as relieving principal at Durrabee Environmental Education Centre. Now, over the years, I've been very lucky. I've got a few awards. I think I got one of the KAB awards a few years back. And one of the highlights that I did was I received a Caltex award, and that enabled me to travel over to England. And I guess this is where my interest started with eco schools, because I went over there and I looked at various schools because it had been in operation for a number of years at that stage. And I visited those schools to bring back ideas for my own program in Australia. Funny enough, at that stage, we were doing very, very well with tidy towns. Dorrigo was the state champion. The state champion. And I remember going down to Hobart with Peter McLean. And I said, mate, you've got to get eco schools here in Australia. And a number of years later, it's happened. So it's very, very exciting. And it's so exciting to be part of the process with Beltrees, for them to be the second school in New South Wales to get the green flag. So well done to them. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land. So if you'd like to click that through. And I have a nice version of that where we respect the environment and the land that the native people have walked upon. So I'd like to extend our respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people today. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, the 7 steps. So it's interesting because these steps are what I've sort of modelled for many, many years. And the beauty of eco schools is the structure, is the framework that enables and allows schools, kids, staff to actually sort of embed this environmental education program within their school. Now, Hayley sort of said to me, how do I envisage the process? And I drafted up this little thing for her that essentially there's 4 different things. You have leading, planning, doing, and reviewing, or plan, do, review. Now, with leading, you need to have someone who is the captain, who is the leader. Now, the lucky thing is that's you, all right? You have the enthusiasm, you have the passion to start this whole process off. From there, you develop your eco committee. Now, I called mine, well, actually I had 3. I had 3 different tiers. And the first tier was the Youth Environment Council, and that was like the leadership team of all the kids. Then they were the ones that they did all the governance, and they were the ones that had the meetings and stuff. From there, you would have like a whole group of other kids that used to come along weekly to meetings and things. And then you'd open it up to the whole school. And we used to call ours the psychedelic green gorillas. So that way you're embedding this across the whole school. You've got a leadership team that helps to drive it. You can train them up, and they will then sort of help to train the rest of the school. Next part of it is the planning. And you've got an important part of this is to conduct an eco review. Now, the eco review is basically a baseline audit of what you're doing within the school. Now, that way you've got something to compare it to. From there, what you can do is you work out your vision, your mission, your catch cry, and these are the things that the school can then, the vision is, what do we want to look like? Okay. The mission is, how are we going to do it? You then develop your action plan by looking at your curriculum. So my background, as I said, is in science and agriculture. No brainer, but Whoosy, art, all these different areas, you can still use this environmental sustainability as the basis for curriculum development. That's your planning. Then once you've got all these ideas, you've got your audits, you've sort of you've been on a brain quest to sort of work out, what do we want to do? Now, I do all these things together. So I have your water, your resources, your biodiversity, your energy, your soil or your land management, and then your atmosphere. And then what you do is you work out, how can we address those things? Might be something very, very simple. Resources, recycle paper, okay? Once you've done that and you've written your action plan, you then implement it, you seek grants, you approach people, you, at my last school, this is a good story, we needed some raised garden beds. So I went down to the local metal place and said, oh, g'day, how are you? We want to sort of get some raised garden beds, increase the biodiversity on our ag plot. And he goes, oh, I went to that school. I said, oh, that's great. Look, have you got any sort of old secondhand ones or some you'd want to be a bit cheaper? Blake said, oh, look, I'll donate them. So we got 6 brand new raised garden beds. Brilliant. So over the course of the year or so, you then are implementing these projects, and you're then, doing cleanup days. You're sort of buying solar panels, doing all these sorts of things. The next phase is your reviewing, whereby it's important to evaluate what you've done. All right. I prefer using areas of strength, areas of development. So what were we doing really, really well? What do we need to improve upon? So areas of strength, area of development. Now, then it's important to tell everybody about it in newsletters, on assemblies, rejoice. This is our achievements. When I sort of moved down here, I went through all my old sort of records and stuff, and I've got lots and lots of old newspaper clippings and things, of what all the achievements the schools have done over the years. Then it's a matter of celebrating your achievements. All right. Now, the way I used to do this, I used to structure it so that we'd sort of start off at the beginning of the year. We'd then sort of like, I'd train all the students up. Then over the course of the year, we'd do all the things. Then at the end of the year, we'd then sort of have a celebration, and we'd say, do that on the assembly. But the celebration can happen all the way through the year. All right, so let's have a look at some of the things that we can do. So let's click the next slide. Now, the key to this is the kids. All right. Now, when I sort of set up my Youth Environment Council, these are the 4 areas which I would talk about. Now, coming back to this, 4 different areas. So I would promote advocacy, whereby what we want to do is we want to support change. Advisory, we want to be able to be there to recommend change, whether it's to the principal, whether it's the community. In the past, I've had politicians come along to our YEC meetings and talk with the kids. All right. Agency, I love this one. Agency is actually action, doing things, getting out there, doing things like cleanup days. We did the things like the tree planting days. We've done things like Earth Hour. So the whole idea of this is there's lots and lots of things out there that can support you to run your programs. And I love this last one, activism. And this has really taken momentum over the last few years when you look at the kids striking during school and stuff, because this is their future. Our role as teachers is just to be a facilitator in that, to enable them to learn the skills, the knowledge, to be able to put all this into practice. So those four things form the basis of this whole environmental sustainability eco schools program. All right, let's kick on. Now, you may notice that this forms a particular program that I've actually written, and it will be on the Beltrees website. For many, many years, I tried to sort of find ways of teaching the kids all these things, and I couldn't find something that I was really, really happy with, so I decided to write my own. So once again, we'll send the links for that. When I do this, and I'll be doing it next year at Beltrees, it's a series of 8 modules. Each module is around about an hour. Now, the way I'm going to be doing it at Beltrees is over the course of the entire term. What I've done in other areas, I've taken the kids away and done camps and things. And we then sort of over the course of a weekend or 2 days, we then run through these series of modules, and I'll talk more about those in a moment. So start off with some definitions. It's always good to start off with a literacy. I'll let you have a read of those. What is environmental education? We want to create this awareness and understanding. I love this second one. What is environmental sustainability? Now, I found that the United Nations definition was very anthropocentric, and what that means, it was very human-centered. So I want to sort of make it a bit more broad because there's lots of other species on our planet. So we consider the past to address the needs of the present while respecting the needs of the future. All right. Now, in everything that we do, we want to look back before we look forward. So that way we can learn from the past and all the stuff upset that we've done in the past. Then what is this eco schools? So we want to focus on knowledge, understanding, skills. And here are the key things: your water, energy, air, soil, biodiversity. All right. We also reflect on Indigenous cultures. This is the framework of eco schools in this model, and it dovetails nicely into the 7 steps. All right, let's continue on. All right, so once again, now these slides, I actually sit down with the kids and I get them to read through them. This is what we're all about, okay? This is the main purpose of this program. And it was interesting. I started doing some further study a few years back, and I wanted to see if there was a significant improvement in the skills, the knowledge, and the understanding of students from one year to the other. And I then sort of took them through this particular program. And amazingly, there was a significant difference. You know, there's been lots of studies on how important environmental sustainability is for the kids, for their development. And one of the key things is you need to have a role mentor, you know, and that's you, all right? We are their role model. Secondly, you want to create an environment for these guys to be able to sort of learn these things and, you know, take them out into nature, let them sort of find out about these things. So that is the purpose. And I said that you need to have your vision, you need to have your mission. All right, let's go. Now, what I'd like to do now is show you a number of the camps and things which I've done over the years. And because I always find like a picture tells 1,000 words. So It's important for you as the role model, as the captain, to forge your way, to work out your path, your journey, because everybody's path is different. So what I think is important, though, is to come back to the framework and those series of steps that will help you to just implement this into your school. Now, this one here, this is part of the Indigenous cultures reflection, whereby I get the kids to actually have a look at this old tallow wood. And this was a camp down at Coffs Harbour Way. And we all got around it and we talked about how old this tree was. And this tree was probably about 300 years old. So it dates back many, many years. So look around your community, look around your school. It was funny at Beltrees. I was having a bit of a look around there and we found a scar tree. And the principal had never seen it. So, oh, you know, kids, wow, come and have a look at this. This is amazing. This is really, really interesting. So look at your areas. Okay, next one. Now, one of the key things, and I'm sort of mishmashing a few things here. I'm sort of up to 4 now. I like to, because of my science background, I like to embed in this program a lot of STEM. Or I prefer like STEAM. So you have your science, technology, engineering, arts, and also maths. Now, have I actually sort of stopped there? So you get my lovely voice as we go along. So, all right. So because of my science background, I love to embed. Oh, no, what's happened there? All right, that's better. So I like to embed STEM or STEAM into the program. So I break the year up into the 4 areas. And I used to start with water, and we'd do a series of water audits. And these are taps which we sort of got the timer taps. We changed the old style to the timer taps, went them for 30 seconds, and eureka. All right, let's keep on going. Okay, this is one of the schools I was at, and we were able to install rainwater tanks. That's at the back of the ag plots. And we were able to use those for irrigation. Just down from there, we developed a bush tucker garden, and we were able to use that to irrigate. All right, what's next? Now, once again, a lot of schools now will actually have the dual flush, but you know, when we first started this journey, some schools didn't. So we were able to sort of get grants and things whereby we were able to just change over to dual flush. And instead of 18 litres of water, it was then down to about 9 litres and 4.5 litres. So once again, with all these, you can use your mathematics, your STEM, to be able to just monitor your flow rates and things like this. Okay, keep on going. Now, other things that we can do some mulching around the school garden beds, and also really, really good, you have a look at your water usage on things like your dishwashers and things, because you'll find all these things in hospitality, you'll find them in science. So if you've got a sort of very old machine that's using lots of water, then you might want to sort of upgrade to a energy rating and also a water rating to conserve water and energy. All right, let's keep on going. This is great. This is biodiversity. So I did a biodiversity audit, and this is when I was at Durrabee. And fantastic. You learn by doing, right? So you want the kids to get out there and to see what the world is about. And it's interesting, now there's sort of like happening things like nature schools and all these wonderful things. And I look back, yeah, we were doing that sort of 10, 20 years ago. And it's great to see that now it's being embedded into the norm, because that's what we want to do. We want to create a paradigm shift in culture that will enable schools to go from unsustainable to being environmentally sustainable. All right, so that was really good. That was up around Lismore at Durrabee. So, all right, let's go. Shame I haven't got a picture, but anyway. Now, these are some of the garden beds that we did, raised garden beds, and once again, heavily mulched. And so great for growing your veggies, keeps the rabbits and things away. So once again, so with this one here, you've got your soil audits. So you can get little tests, you can check your pH, you can introduce a lot of science. And like I do this with primary school kids. You know, you get them and you can buy the little kits and they can measure the pH and you sort of say, well, you know, if it's too acid, plants die. Too alkali, plants die. So you've got to have this harmony, this balance there. So conducting soil audits and that way the kids are learning. And it meets so many of the K to 6 as well as the 7 to 12, you know, student learning outcomes out of the syllabuses. So fantastic. Right, let's go. Right, once again, biodiversity audits. This is a really nice one. I've done things like sculpture gardens. That's where I like the concept of STEAM, including art in there, because, and now I'm doing some work out at Beltrees Public School. I'm doing a lot of art with the kids, whereby we did the bird surveys the other day, and we actually sort of made collages of the various birds and things around the area. But at Dorrigo, we actually did a sculpture garden. And so I worked, once again, it was a cross-curricular thing. We talked with the art teachers and we landscaped it all. We got chairs and covers from national parks, and we then created this beautiful sculpture garden whereby we sort of used the artworks that the kids had made. Fantastic. I don't, maybe I just go bing each time. Bing. Okay, energy audits. You can get little lux meters and things, but this year I was told about using your phone. There's actually apps and things that you can get now. So a lot of this stuff you can do quite economically because that app costs nothing, rather than spending $100 on sort of like a lux meter. And the lux meter, you hold it under the light and that tells us the intensity of the light. The way that you can use that is if it's too bright, hang on, we don't need a 100-watt globe. We could say use an 80-watt globe. All right, so you can then modify it. That was from another school. We've got solar panels on the roof and also a solar hot water system. And so once again, you can do your audits. You can have your timers on your lights. And once again, you can establish your baseline, determine your energy use, and then work out strategies how you can then reduce it. All right, let's go. Next one. Now, as part of this, it's good to have other teachers and things on board. I did modify this for Scouts. So I was doing it with Scouts as well. And so once again, using STEM to collect your data, you analyze the data, you make conclusions, and then you develop some strategies from there. So, and here they were doing like sort of waste audits as well, just to work out, you know, what goes where. But bing. And here we can sort of see, once again, doing some audits, your resource audits, looking at what's in the various bins. One of the biggest problems we found was contamination, and a number of different solutions to that: education, getting up on the assembly, making sure that people put the right stuff in the right bin. But there will be challenges, but there'll be lots and lots of successes as well. Bing. Now, this is a good one. This is a part of the soil audits. And once again, also that's part of your resource audits there. So lots of different things there. Getting the kids out with clipboards, rubber gloves, finding out about what's happening in the school. You've got to have that baseline so that you can then come up with some projects to do. Bing. Now, what I used to do at the camps, I used to get the kids to develop their school environment management plan. Now, the policy came out just around 2000 or so, and every single school was meant to develop their school environment management plan, working out ways that they address the water, the waste, the energy, the biodiversity within their school. All right. So I would get the kids to develop one. Okay. And then they had to present it. So I think the term now is multimodal. We were doing it years and years ago. So, and kids just love to sort of get up there, do various presentations and showcase what they've learnt and how we can, improve the environment around the school. All right, Bing. Once again, a couple more photos, creating raised garden beds. I love this one. That was a tree planting exercise, the one on the right. And as you can see, that girl's in Scouts. And she was just there. She'd planted that tree and she was just meditating. And it was a classic photo. And so her mum was really, really pleased with that. She liked that one. So, righto, Bing. Now, I've used lots and lots of quotes over the years, and I quite like this one, is that culture is determined by the way we think. In order to change culture, we need to change the way we think. As I said, what we want to do is we want to create a change in the paradigm or culture within a school. Paradigm just means the way that we do it around here. So if you can change that, and any small change will improve the overall environmental sustainability of the school. And then the school will be a better place, the community will be a better place, and the world would be a better place. And that's where, coming back to, once again, the eco schools and the green flag, it's a way of allowing you and following that through the step-by-step process. It's not hard, and that's the beauty of it. Step one, find a captain. Step two, get some kids involved, and they'll want to be involved. Talk to your executive, see if you can get some funding for this. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. I used to do a lot of this extracurricular. I used to do it lunchtimes, but you can do it in your classrooms. With the model that we're doing at Beltrees is we're actually embedding it into the curriculum. I'm teaching science 1 day a week out there, but as part of that, we're having our Youth Environment Council 1 day a week. What we're doing is actually conducting the audits. We're monitoring all the things like the level of how full the bins are. So I'm looking at fractions there. There's your numeracy, tick it off. I'm getting them to write creative stories. I've written a few stories myself. Indiana Juddles and the Museum of Rural Life. Classic. Wait till the movie comes out. You'll love it. So, all right. So that's just a bit of a summary. Let's sort of quickly go back. We've talked about the 7 steps, how eco schools will do that. We've talked about how important it is to have your eco committee, have your captain, have your youth environment council, have your environment committee, have your psychedelic green gorillas, however you want to do it. All right. Next thing, you need to take your baseline. You need to sort of find out what's happening within the school. Okay. And I use STEM or STEAM because that's my background. But once again, you go with your strengths. Okay, and as part of that, you do audits and you find out, well, how much rubbish are we throwing away? Then what you can do is you work out your vision statement, your mission statement. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And just go and do it. Like if anything you do will be wonderful. Once you've done that, make sure that you keep a record of all this. Take your photographs, get up on the assembly, celebrate your achievements, and then do it all again. You just go around. And that's what I used to do. Every year, we'd have a new YEC coming in because that was a secondary school. And there'd be times I would have 2 presidents. I always have a male and female presidents. I'd have a secretary, I'd have a treasurer. I'd have a publicity officer, and then I'd have ministers. This is the YEC. Then I'd have the Minister of Water, the Minister of Resources, the Minister of Energy, the Minister of Biodiversity, right? Now, if you've got more kids, you might have Minister of Land, Minister of Indigenous Affairs. You might have as many ministers as you want, all right? They could come from different classrooms. Once again, how you develop your way is entirely up to you. Then they are the guiding force. They take those messages back to the classroom and they share it around the school. Organise cleanup days, Earth Hour, utilise all the resources that are out there. Sustainable schools is great. There's so much happening there, all right? We're doing things called Genesis, digital programs. Next year, I'm going to be doing the Dirt Girl, the Get Grubby program. Brilliant. You know, there's lots of resources out there. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's all there for you. And with sessions like this, we're all there to help. A couple of weeks ago, a lady sort of contacted me, help. Yeah, no worries. And I just sort of sat on the phone on the weekend and just went through some of the things that I was doing, emailed her some of the program stuff, and, you know, and then that's what she's doing it. So, all right. So